The intrigue of Heavenly Delusion just keeps on hitting on into episode 2, and I could not be more happy about that. I was really hoping that it didn't just fall off really quickly, get that nice opening and then just kind of fall off. But no, they're doing a really good job so far with these first 2 episodes of kind of sprinkling in those answers that we kind of want, but at the same time just building intrigue and mystery around it at the same time. But yes, episode 2 seems like love is in the air. And I have some theories on that whole thing as we go along, but yes, let's just dive right into episode 2 of Heavenly Delusion. The first thing I really want to dive into with the facility, which at this point I'm still really kind of hinting on it being the heaven that we're talking about. This place is obviously heaven because they're supposed to go there. He's supposed to administer this drug, and this person with the same face as them is at heaven. So makes me believe, and yes, there's tomatoes there apparently. Makes me believe that, yes, we're pretty much solidifying now that this facility that these kids are in is heaven, or at least what they call it on the outside. But from the perspective inside there, I think the main key thing we hit on this episode is this feeling of love that's kind of stirring up. At the very beginning, it's really kind of about, yes, there's an outside. There's this kid in a wheelchair, and he's like, yeah, there's obviously an outsider there. We don't even know what's beyond the teacher's doors. We're not allowed to go past there. We get a brief scene where they sort of were hinting at the idea of this door, but then walked away from it. But yeah, they're experimenting. Love is in the air, like I said at the very beginning. Yes, we see this brief shot of Tokyo seeing 2 girls kissing, and they kind of giggle and walk away. Then we see a shot that Shiro gets some spicy pictures from Mimihime. I thought for a minute, like, it said that he got a message from Mimihime, and he walks over and he checks it, and he's like, whoa. And I'm like, watch it be somebody else. Like, Mimihime's taking pictures of somebody else and sending it to him. I mean, it was a really nice shot. I mean, I guess set up the camera and put it on a timer and then go over there and start showering. It seemed like almost a perfect shot that she somehow managed to capture with the camera. But anyways, yes, she's showing Shiro a bunch of stuff. He's nosebleeding when she, panics and jumps on him. Their love is in the air. And additionally, Tokyo is getting jealous of this other girl that got a picture from Cuckoo. Or was it Kona? Cuckoo is the girl that got the picture from Kona. And so Tokyo is jealous because he said that he was going to give a picture to her. Again, it's just kind of spelling out this idea that all these kids are experiencing love and they want love. Now, the big question mark that I have, and this kind of goes into my theory for later on, is it manufactured love? Are they being essentially persuaded in a way through drugs or something like that to want to experience love or to procreate? That's the question mark, because it seems like it's very sudden. That suddenly cut and everybody starts to want to experiment. And again, it could just be that age that they want to start experimenting, or it could be something that's being pushed. The reason why I say that it almost feels like it might be manufactured is Maru. Maru suddenly out of nowhere at the end of this episode starts to pursue Kuroko. And it seemed like it was forced. Like he just suddenly like, I'm in love with you, starts to push on her and then apologizes afterwards. Now granted, yes, he's just being pushy, doesn't really know limits, but what happened in the same time in this episode, Tokyo was experiencing love. And then suddenly Maru wants to experience love. And again, these two have the same face, and I'm starting to wonder if they're connected somehow. That when Tokyo wants love, Maru wants love, vice versa. It makes me believe there's a connection there, and it seems like it's a little bit too, it seems too obvious not to be the case. But yeah, the other thing that we got in this brief moment in heaven was essentially this guy using the vacuums to climb up this pole, falling, and then Mimihime saying that something else is going to fall. Again, another prediction that Mimihime is giving. Again, we're kind of assuming at this point that she has a power, and that power is to, I guess, foresee things. Yes, there was one other thing, and that's the fact that they're kind of showing that there is this infection in this world. And this boy that was talking to Tokyo at the very beginning has this infection. It looks like some sort of blotching of gray. And we see in this little brief flashback from Kuroko's perspective that, yes, somebody outside of that facility had that infection as well, so this seems to be a problem. Whether the drug that Maru has is going to fix that problem, that's the big question mark, because that's a can of worms in itself that Maru has this injection that he's supposed to give to, again, we presume, Tokyo. But yes, from Kiriko and Maru's perspective, we have them wake up, and yes, this lady apparently was protecting the man-eater. I kind of had that feeling, like she went to grab her knife the moment they said they can take it out, kind of indicated that she was helping it. But I didn't want to really believe the idea that she was drugging them in order to feed them to the monster. Again, they're sort of implying there's a possibility that she could have done that to previous guests. They didn't want to think about it. But In the end, it didn't seem like she was going to feed them to the monster, at least not them, which I think is nice. But yeah, from her perspective, what she believes this thing is her son. It was this monster, it consumed my son, and it became my son. Not so much that my son turned into this monster, the monster became my son. And it, I guess, sort of opens the door to how each individual person might perceive these monsters. That it could be that some can see it differently than other people, or the idea that maybe possibly just her using that as a coping mechanism. She lost her son, so she just wanted to assume it was her son. Mainly in the idea that it never attacked her. It was protecting her. Which doesn't make sense to Kuroko and Maru. Why was this thing protecting her the whole time? Why did it finally now decide to kill her? There's no way for them to know, at least for now. It could have a piece of his subconscious that was in its mind that allowed it to want to protect her, or it could be that it was just on a whim not killing her. Which I'm sure as we get further and further into what the man-eaters are, that could probably make more sense. But for now, it sort of implies this idea of consuming and possibly merging consciousness. Now, the weird thing that came out of this is, yes, Kuroko had pretty much wasted all of her bullets, but she did get an idea of how this thing attacks. It has these whips on its wings or its arms, and it only attacks in one direction, and it has a delay. So upon figuring this out, she has a strategy to give to Maru, which is to get in there in that delay. The weird thing that happens is that he gets up in there, and he immediately grabs its arm, or its leg, and says that he's connected to it. And it shows this perspective that his arm is going up inside of it and grabs its heart. So this implies that, again, assuming that everybody in this facility has some sort of special ability, it seems like Maru has the ability to, I guess, probably some sort of telekinesis, I'm guessing. And that's the way that it's sort of envisioning it, that he's reaching in there and grabbing it, whereas it's just actually just his subconscious mind going in there and grabbing it. Either way, again, it plays into the idea of Maru being one of these special kids that were in this facility, and how all these kids have some sort of special ability. Even that kid that fell off of the vacuums hit the ground and he just got back up. They could all be, you know, able to live through impact like that, but it also could be the fact that that's just his unique ability. Had a little fun scene of them going across this water area and talking about there being crocs or sharks there. If I was a croc, I would eat you first. And she starts panicking. They start rowing faster. But yes, they arrive at this farm. Now, the curious thing here is they're still trying to figure out what this heaven's going to be. They have no clue. But Maru shows that he has this little container. And apparently in this container is some drugs. And apparently whenever he finds heaven, he's instructed to find the person that has the same face as him and inject them with this, and that it will make everybody happy. What? I'm assuming what he's meaning here. There's two theories that I have on this. One is the idea that there's several people in this world that are clones, and Tokyo and Maru are clones of one or the other. It even kind of indicates that possibly Kiriko is a clone of somebody else. And I'm thinking that either possibly this drug is to get rid of your clone, or it is to possibly cure that illness they keep showing. Maybe those that are clones will have this infection and this vial is the way to cure it. But why would they be sending Maru so far out of his way in order to inject Tokyo when he doesn't even know who Tokyo is? Unless, again, like I was indicating earlier, they're linked. And again, Tokyo experiencing love made Maru want to experience love. Maybe Tokyo dying to this infection will cause Maru to die from this infection. That's where I'm thinking they're going with this, is some sort of linking, and this vial is crucial to curing this illness that seems to be taking out people. But yeah, they get into the farm, and this guy shows up and says that Kiriko looks like somebody that he knows, this racer, this electric car racer. Here's where I'm getting a little confused, and I'm wondering if it's maybe possibly a mistranslation. I'll probably go back and redouble check it. But so earlier in the episode, it indicated that Kuroko didn't know about anything of before the disaster. She says that she was only 3 years old when the disaster happened, so she doesn't remember even if she did ride a train, she wouldn't remember. He said, wait, you were 20 years old. If it was 15 years ago, you would have been 5. So it's implying that this disaster happened 15 years prior. Now, the weird thing is, this guy that comes in and recognizes Kuroko as this kart racer says that she disappeared 5 years ago. That she went crazy after she killed her brother in a wreck during a race and disappeared. Why were they doing electric kart racing 5 years ago when the disaster was 15 years ago? I'm thinking what he said there, that 5 years is a mistranslation or something went wrong there, or just that these people are weird. And then, again, Kiriko kind of implies that something's weird here. I don't want to stay here. These people are kind of weird. They farm all day, and then they just smoke things all night. And that could be he's just, you know, a little bit too high. But again, it sort of implies that Kiroko looks like this girl. And she was sort of happy when he said that the moment of heaven was this district when that racer was at their prime, basically. So again, makes me sort of wonder if possibly Kiroko is a clone of this racer, because she did kind of seem upset when he brought up the racer. So it's not just a fact of her looking like this person. It seems like she is somehow tied to this person. And where we get into my theories around that is the later scene when Maru starts to pursue Kiroko and says that he loves her. She says, "Thank you, but I'm actually a boy. I have the body of a girl, but my mind is actually a boy." And I'm wondering if that's one of those things where possibly if she is a clone of this racer, was this mind of another person, this boy, placed inside of Kiroko. And that's why she was upset about that. This racer is special, they create a clone, and his mind was put inside of that body. Why would they do that? That's the big question mark. Maybe it's because to be able to fight whatever this disaster is happening, or possibly to fight off the curse or this infection that's happening to people. I guess technically if she is possibly a clone or something of this Kiroko Takehaya, and she's the mind of a boy put inside this girl or this clone, it does sort of explain that time difference that he was talking about earlier about the 20 years and 15 years ago and being 5 rather than 3. Like I said, this episode's like a big, massive can of worms. It's bringing up so many question marks. They also did find a box that has the emblem of what the gun that she has that was given to her by this person, and they're trying to find out what that is in Tokyo. So they're heading back to Tokyo. They came all the way out here, and they're going to go all the way back. It's kind of funny in that regard. But it is a sort of a changing point for what they're seeking out. They're kind of just sporadically looking for anything that anybody says is heaven. And so they're kind of starting to realize, you know, look, we need to figure out the history of Maru himself before they can figure out where this heaven is. If the idea is that he's supposed to go to this heaven, why are we relying so much on what other people believe is heaven? But let's look into what would be heaven to Maru, I guess, is the vantage point they want to take. Anyways, cool stuff. Looking forward to the next episode. Like I said, if they keep up this intrigue, I'm gonna probably love this entire series. I don't know. I don't think this is supposed to be a full adaptation, so it's gonna be rough whenever it does come to a conclusion, because I feel like there's gonna be so much unanswered if this isn't a full adaptation, and I'm probably gonna be heartbroken. But it's doing really good so far. Really enjoying it. Mimi Hime is super thirsty and lewd. Love it to death. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what's thought of the episode, if you're going to be checking out and you're just waiting for more impressions. Additionally, if you're new to this channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more and you like what I do here, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, and membership button down below. Greatly appreciate it, but support the channel, and y'all take care.